Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News with the VCT kickoffs about to get underway in the various regions. There's been lots of predictions as to exactly what certain teams are going to start to bring to the table. Coach Chet of NRG has been seemingly cooking up something behind the scenes over the last several weeks, and FNS reveals exactly what he believes NRG will bring to the table when they play in their first round game. Will Demon 1 be on the Brimstone? Will he be on the Chamber? Is that going to be the meta again nowadays after especially what we saw Son of Car do over the last couple of days? Very much on Twitter, your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Firstly, thought this is really cool as well. So VCT China, this is where the games are going to be played actually. This is the venue they've got going on. I'm not exactly sure where the venue is, whether this picture is taken basically from outside the venue. I'm guessing it's just here to the right hand side. But this is where everything for VCT China is going to be set up. And this is the setup, these are the dates and everything like that. And as you guys can see on this teaser shot here, there is a submarine in the image. And that's because there is a submarine literally right next door to where the venue is. So it's a crazy venue setup actually. You can actually see the submarine I think just about here as well in this shot in the middle of it somewhat. And as Alan goes on to say, the submarine is the real deal. This it's the first generation of conventional powered submarine designer built by China. After retirement it was settled in the museum, which will serve as the China Maritime Museum's Huangpu branch. So pretty wild stuff, and yeah, that's where the venue's going to be if you guys want to come along and attend. However, I guess for us international viewers, there's been some questions on whether there's going to be an English broadcast. Actually, it was a question in the replies. Insane venue, like, are we going to be having an English cast for the upcoming season? No news about that yet. Might be a no for now. Could change in the future. I guess we'll stay tuned for updates on that one. If you guys didn't see yesterday as well, these are the brackets. As far as I'm concerned, these look pretty balanced, but maybe somewhat, maybe my China VC knowledge isn't really up to scratch. But I mentioned it in the latter half of yesterday's video, just because it actually just came out as I was recording it. But I thought I'd just show it for you guys again today if you guys didn't see yesterday. Group C is actually very interesting though, with Billy and Edward Gaming and Wolves in there, and then the rest of the group as follows. I think one other thing to mention is AG versus DRG, because I think it's Stu, right? He was the star player of that Rare Atom team, and he was carrying his team so hard against DRG in the finals, Dragon Ranger Gaming, but Dragon Ranger Gaming won, but Stu was so good, Korean player actually, that he was signed, I'm pretty sure, to JDG. So if JD Gaming take down Titan Esports Club and Dragon Ranger Gamer were to beat All Gamers, then there would be a rematch here between Stu and the team that knocked his team out of Ascension and beat them in the finals. So that's just another storyline there to keep your eyes on for Group B, which I didn't mention for you guys yesterday. This also just to mention for you guys, the 4 teams advancing to the Challengers League from the Open Qualifier number 1 in the Challengers NA are the following. We saw this over the last couple of days. The second Open Qualifier begins in a couple of days' time, and basically as soon as that is over, the playoffs begin in the various regions. Just wanted to mention this from Boostio as well. I don't know what you guys think about this, because the debate goes either way, but as Boostio says, does anybody know how to get tickets for the kickoff tournament? They're for my parents. So, Valorant News links the tickets, but pretty much they were all sold out. I think that for a lot of the days, the tickets were sold out practically immediately, and there's an argument these venues should be bigger and there should be more seats. I think that probably is and should be the case, to be honest. And yeah, Boostio's father here says, thanks, but it's been sold out, and the ticket resellers don't seem to have anything so far that I can see. So, I don't know exactly what the league should do about this precisely, but I think they've got to consider it, because I think this is also a debate at the Game Changers World Championship maybe, when there just weren't many seats. So the players wanting to invite their parents and their family, they were like, well, if the players and the family want to attend, like half the venue is going to be filled by players and family, because that's the amount of seats that are available. And for the families here, it's not an option. Pretty sure in like the Call of Duty side, the teams will just get extra tickets for friends and family, and they'll get like special permissions, they'll be able to go in certain areas, and I think that's probably a standard across a lot of different esports, whereas for whatever reason in Valorant, and I don't know what it's like in League of Legends, but you'd have thought the players could, nominate 2, friends and family, or like at least 1 friends and family, maybe pay for the second ticket, I don't know, that's allocated for them to go and attend. Apparently not, but I think it's definitely worthy of a conversation there. There was also drama yesterday around the replay system. So as ValoLeak says, well, everyone has been wanting and talking about for a long time about the replay system. What would you use it for? Now, this is a valid question, because most people that complain about the replay system probably won't find reasons to use it. Does that mean that it shouldn't exist? Absolutely not. I think it should be a mandatory feature for FPS games, especially on this type of level that Valorant is at. And there's a few good uses for a replay system. a lot of it is for content creators, really. People trying to make videos, people trying to make montages is massively effective for those type of things, especially has been in the Counter-Strike world and elsewhere. When we used to have theater mode back in Call of Duty, it was just such a great feature for so many reasons. My personal preference, though, was for viewing VOD. That if you want to look back at a game, review matches, try and learn from something, see what happened in a certain situation, also see if you thought the other guy was maybe cheating or whatever, you can go and see their point of view in the replay mode. So while this analysis that 90% of Valorant players probably won't touch the replay system, those that do will probably use it enough to make it worth it, I would say. And this has been the debate from Chet and others for a very long time as to just why it hasn't arrived yet. And there's so many other things that maybe could have been changed over the last couple of years, but this was a tweet from like pretty much 3 years ago now, at the start of 2021. List of things that need fixing or adding. Of course, changes to weapons that have, some have been changed, some haven't been changed over time. But as he mentions here, number 3, coach slot and replay system. So, that's 3 years ago, and the expectation was back then that, well, Riot will get to it, it's going to be added. And there were rumors a little while ago now that, well, it's coming, right? And, as Chet says here, I guess we're just going to start scrimming late because they made the Sky changes. No replay system, by the way, 2024 coming soon. So, they have said this quite a lot, that it's like, oh yeah, the replay system is coming, it's in the works, don't worry about it, we got it sorted. And then there's like, no updates, no information, which are definitely frustrating many of the pros, because I think it's largely useful for the better players and also the content creators, but it's such a valuable and I think necessary feature in a game that's going to get so much use that it really should be in the game, and it should have been for a long time now. But without the help of a replay system, the pros still have to get ready for the upcoming kickoffs in the various regions. This is coming up in a few days' time here. The Americas starts slightly later, I think, than at least one or two of the other regions, but it's February the 16th when all these games kick off. And as Marv says, of course, joking around, we got the group of death because on paper, NRG certainly did not get the group of death for this one. But FNS actually gives his thoughts, because people in the chat were asking him, what do you think NRG are going to cook up and bring to the table? Of course, he knows those guys very well, knows Chet very well, was on that team the most recent season, so they're definitely going to be preparing something. Now the meta has changed as well, Sky's now been nerfed, Gecko seems particularly viable. There have been major questions, what is the meta going to be, who's going to be innovating meta the most, right? Is it going to be NRG cooking up some, spicy compositions? That might be the case. FNS as well and Ardis were going back and forth here as well, because, yesterday's Liverpool versus Arsenal game, Ardis is a Scouser from Liverpool, and FNS is an Arsenal fan, for whatever reason, I'm not really sure the background on that, but yeah, as he says, remember us is the Gunners, your head still hurts, but this is what he actually has to say on the NRG situation.
You had to predict NRG's comp for Bind and who plays who? Okay. Crashy's Gecko, Ethan Sky, Vic Rays, Demon 1 Viper, or Marv Viper, Demon 1 Brimstone for Bind. Ooh, Chamber could be a good one. Victor Rays, Crashy's Viper, Marv Brim, I think Gecko or Sky. True, but I think they're going to have 2 initiators. That's my prediction. They're going to have Sky and Gecko. You think Gecko will be meta? Yeah, more so than last year. For example, Sunset, Bind, potentially Split.
So what do you guys think NRG will do? And will we start to see Chamber returning to the meta? To be honest, I think I've mentioned it on this channel for, 6-7 months at this point. Probably near the end of last season, when it felt like Chamber was becoming slightly more viable again. And I think on certain maps that is now definitely the case. With the changes that have been made, Chamber's still very strong as an agent, and look, certain maps are different to other maps, but we saw Son of Car the other day drop 40 frags in an overtime with Chamber on the icebox. So I think it definitely proves, and sure, that was like Ye's playground as well on icebox with the Chamber back in the day when Chamber was insanely strong, but he's still a strong agent, and if you can find space for him in the composition, I think it's definitely worth looking at, especially when you've got a player as good as Demon 1 to do so. Are you going to put Demon 1 on the Brimmy, or are you going to put him on the Chamber and kind of make it work from there? There's a debate. FNS, of course, gave his initial perspective. Then people in the chat were kind of saying, well, how about this? How about that? And of course, multiple options are viable. We don't really know what NRG are thinking right now. And of course, what other teams are thinking as well. But this innovation will be fascinating to see, because we don't really know what the teams are cooking up behind the scenes. All we believe is that Gecko is now far more valid. Now that Sky is significantly worse, the double initiator idea is probably the way that it's going to go. I think that FNS is probably correct, that Sky and, you know, because you still kind of need the dog. Like, the dog is still valuable despite the Sky nerf. Gecko doesn't have the dog, so, you know, there is that, and maybe that kind of double whammy is the way to go with a couple of other changes to the composition as well. So I think NRG of all the teams are likely to be some of the most innovative here. They usually are, especially in the Americas, but I guess if we want to see what some of the other teams are doing, we'll have to look at Paper X, because, well, they can do all sorts of stuff, and it can still probably work in this new meta change. And just to quickly mention here, these are the groups again, if you guys are unfamiliar. I'll go through before this happens and actually do some degree of predictions to see who I think is going to come out on top. Haven't fully made up my mind yet on this type of stuff, but yeah, NRG have definitely the easier group of the two, and if they get out in the winner's #1 spot, then they move straight through into the playoffs, which is where you want to be, because if you start in the second seeds, then you go through a play-in, which, well, means more opportunities to lose and bow out of the tournament early. But very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.